Come
Energy going, 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 going.
on.
And we are live again. Hey, Cam, how are you doing today, my good friend?
Man, life is good. I can't complain. The weather, man, I don't know if you're feeling it, but this weather is amazing. But my metal that I have in my body is going, I don't like this with your body. So I don't know. How are you doing, man? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. I had that surgery. Well, not really surgery, a procedure, and they cauterize one of the veins in my legs today. So, I've been going through this scare, healthcare issue where I've gained a lot of weight. I tipped the scales
Mm.
at 264 pounds, and they can't figure out why I'm retaining so much fluid. So I've been on Lasix, I've been on potassium, I've seen every specialist, and went back to my heart doctor, and he said, maybe you should see this doctor down the hallway who specializes in leg and vein issues. So I saw him about 3 weeks ago, and he diagnosed me with vein disorder. Basically, there are veins in our legs that normal operating veins have valves. Let's see who's calling in.
Ooh.
We have a guest that's calling in, but he's really early. Let's go ahead and jump in real quick and tell him that he can wait in the green room for now. Hang on, let me go ahead and anyway. So to finish my story, um, they cauterize one of the veins, and basically, the problem that I'm having is that because the circuit is not complete, or it's not complete. The blood is pooling in my foot, in my
Mm.
feet, in my calves, and it hurts like hell. So they hope this procedure with the left leg will alleviate that because I can't bend, I can't run, I can't walk, and it sucks. Um,
Man, and I thought you were getting taller.
no, no, that's not how it
Oh well,
works.
my bad, bro. My bad.
That's
I'm
not
not
the way it works.
I'm not a medical person, man. I'm like, oh, I guess he's growing.
No,
Drink his
no,
milk. Yeah, he needs to drink his
no.
milk.
I saw a picture of myself the other day, and I said, "Damn, that is fat." But hey, welcome to the Patriot Sentinel. That's enough banter out of the way. Got a good show tonight. Talking about a massive Supreme Court decision about birthright citizenship, battle over property taxes in Oklahoma, and we have the June 16 primary, and our guests tonight are Dr. John Cox. Um, Candidate for state superintendent, and the newly elected Norman Ward 5 City Council member, Trey Kirby, who will be on later on in the show. I am Rarchar Tortorello. Welcome to the Patriot Sentinel. Cam, my brother, how are you doing today?
Man, life is good. I can't complain. This is I'm excited. We get Dr. Cox. We get to ask him fun questions. Like, let's go.
He's he's actually a funny guy. I mean, for look,
Mm-hmm.
I've had teachers that totally suck and were boring as hell. This guy, I can imagine him being a teacher, making classroom exciting again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's a funny guy. He's a smart guy. He'll be on here in about 4 or 5 minutes. But Cam, the national headlines, this president is doing so much for the nation. He's around the world, and his birthright citizenship that went to the Supreme Court about a month and a half ago. I know a lot of folks have mixed feelings about it. But what are your thoughts on why he wants to do away with the birthright citizenship?
Well, so let's say the courts overturn his decision, his opinion, and right now they're fighting, having a hearing, and all this. Let's say they decide to go, hey, you know what, President Trump, you are right. Let's say we want to grant this, and only we're going to honor the individuals who came here legally, and they go to that level. Let's say they take the Trump route, or what if they take the other route, bro? where, hey, you know what? We're going to protect those who haven't been born because they're considered citizens. So how are you going to approach the abortion deal and all this? So this is going to be a hard case because on one hand, you have future citizens who aren't born, and on the other hand are the people who came to this country who are not legal, or let's say they're not a citizen and don't have status for those children. Like, let's say people who come here to work in this country and they have a child, who gets rights over that child? Is it the country from the parents that are they're born from, or is it the United States? And how are they going to work on that? It's going to be interesting, man. I'll be honest with you. I'm excited for it.
Well, the birthright citizenship thing. The issue has been we've got a lot of folks here that come to this country. They have a baby, and automatically, because they're born on our soil, become citizens of America. And the big issue that he's trying to stop is that we have this birthright tourism coming from China and other third world countries, and they come here solely just to have children born here on American soil, get the citizenship, and they head back to China, and they come back to America when they're of age to vote or to buy property. So it opens up a lot of issues here, and I think for the fairness of natural born citizens, and the definition, I remember having this conversation 20 years ago on the definition of what it means to be and to have birthright citizenship. Now, I was born in Germany. And the status of forces agreement says you got to have both parents. Well, I was not born on an Air Force base, so that scratched out. My mother was not an American citizen. My father was. And so I received dual citizenship. I have a birth certificate in German, and I also have a birth certificate from the State Department that was required. Okay. But diplomats, when they have families here, they if a child's born here on their soil on the embassy soil, say the German embassy, they do not automatically get birthright citizenship. They're not Americans, all right, because that's the deal. Okay. And just because you are overseas with your parents and you were born, say, on a base and both your parents are Americans, that does not confer you citizenship of, say, Germany, for example. So that's the problem we have here. So if I was to run for president, I could not, because I don't think I qualify, not being a natural born citizen, which is a requirement in the Constitution to run for president. So I think whatever happens, it's going to change the way. It's going to change a lot of things, and
Mm-hmm.
and and that is something that Americans have to understand. Um, in those arguments last month, it set the stage for a foundational ruling on the American First agenda. Conservatives have for a long time argued the 14th Amendment was never intended to grant, like I said, automatic citizenship to the children of illegal immigrants. That was not
Mm-hmm.
the intent of that. It was to grant citizenship to the newly freed slaves and their children. And so I think if the Supreme Court, if they look at the Constitution, they have to rule in favor of Donald Trump, of President Trump. So that's the only way. Um, that's the only decision they should come up with. And so this is it's a still look. He's got so many cases around the nation, and we pay attention to the ones at the Supreme Court, and I think it's very important. Any final thoughts on what's going to happen? Any bets?
Man, I think that either way, whenever we have this conclusion, I'm gonna know whether I'm gonna vote for future President Richard or Patriot Sentinel Rarchar that can't be a president. So either way, I get to have you, man.
Oh my goodness. Let's bring in We have Dr. John Cox.
Woo!
Let's bring him in to this conversation. Dr. Cox, are you there?
I am here
You
and
know, we were
glad to
just
be
talking
here.
about you. Look, I had a teacher who was my football coach as well as a biology teacher. And we enjoyed going to his class because he was a funny guy. Football player on the field. He was not the same guy in the classroom, but when it comes to teachers and the ones we look up to, I think the ones that have the best personality, that are friendly with the students and the parents, make the best superintendents. And I see you everywhere. We just saw each other a couple of days ago at the
Yes.
what I thought was the lieutenant governor's forum, but it turned out to be the governor's forum first. And everyone showed up, and it was busy. It was a great forum. I wouldn't have done the two forums like that because as soon as the governor's forum was over, I want to say that 3/4 of the room emptied out. But Cam, you missed a great show. Dr. Cox, I see you. You're out there talking to people, and it comes naturally for you. So, what is your secret? I mean, have you always been a friendly guy?
Well, since I've been hanging out with you, I've learned how to develop that skill.
Don't give me the credit. You've already had the. I mean, This is you. It's not me. I just think that when I observe people walking around, and I see the candidates, you got candidates that go out and shake certain people's hands, and they go sit down, and you got those candidates that want to go around the room and meet everybody, and I think that is you, Cam. Do you agree or not?
Yeah, well, look at Dr. Cox. Look at the pins he has. He has an American flag with a
That's
Christian
right.
cross right there, and he has a 250 pin, bro. Like, come on, let's not talk about just being a patriot, but what a role model. That's what I'm talking about. See?
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about, Dr. Cox.
a great friend of mine passed that on to me, and that's because I worked the room. So,
Mhm.
but
And he
Hey, so
did.
Dr. Cox, question.
yes.
Do teachers ever get nervous in front of a classroom?
Oh, I would think so, especially at the beginning. They do.
Oh, Richard. Well, I don't see
Oh,
Dr. Cox, so I don't see. There we
th-
go.
there we are.
Yeah, I
I
was
would
going to
think
ask
at
a
the
question, but
beginning.
you go ahead.
But it's kind of like what Rashar was talking about in rooms. It's very difficult to work a room, as they say, and so. But I have learned to do that. But I think it's just because I just really care about what we're trying to do. You know, I think it's so important to just be out there and help people.
Well, what is it are you trying to do? So we have the June primaries coming up
Oh,
um, next month, and so how many counties have you hit so far? Let's start there.
well, over time I've hit all of them, but in this campaign in the last year, I would have to say majority, but we have to just be extremely strategic on where we're going because there's only one of me, and but I say that, but there are thousands of people across this state that are helping me. So if I don't hit a county, there's someone in that county that is actually speaking for us, and I think it's because they know where my heart is. And this job isn't about John Cox. State superintendent is not about me. It's about how can we help a child? How can we give opportunity and purpose? And I just have to work really hard for that. I I see my grandchildren, you know, and I visually see them when I'm out campaigning, and I'm just working hard for them too to make a better place.
Mhm.
So
Hey,
at
Dr.
the
Cox, I have
campaigns
go ahead, bro.
again, no you look, you finish because I think you're more important.
Well, it's really
So
sappy. I mean, that was a sappy thing that I just said, but it's real. What can we do for a child? And I have the experience and training. I'm the only one in this race that has that type of experience and training. And
right.
I look at candidates as who would I want to be my boss? because whoever is the state superintendent would be my boss, and you should know what I know to at least be my boss. And
Good answer.
there is nobody in this race that can say that. They can say I've got children in school, or I've done
Hmm.
legislation, or I've worked hard on CRT and I have this book that I wrote. They can say things like that, but what are they actually, what's their plan? How are they going to elevate Oklahoma from out of 50 to 25? And, and we're going to do it. I just, I believe that.
I do too. Cam, what was your question?
Hey, so Dr. Cox, I know that you've seen that in the past couple years, we've had a huge, massive amount of funding towards public education. Do you
Right.
have any strategies on how to fix the system? What plans do you have for us?
Well, I think actually focus is the key thing. Everything is out there for us to do. Someone actually came online and asked me what I'm going to do about bullying. And I thought, I answered back. I said, because there's a process that you go through. Every school has to have a policy. It has to be online so everybody can view it. And they said, well, the process is flawed. And in my mind, I'm going, it's not the process that's flawed. It's the people that are doing the process. And that's the business that we live in. There's some really good people in education, but there's a small percentage that make the rest of us look bad. And so we have to weed those out and put focus back, really back to the basics. I mean, back to teaching every child in the state of Oklahoma to read, no matter what their ability is, and laying the foundation of math all the way through fifth grade so they have a strong foundation before they go on. Not just can they kind of do their times tables? Do they sort of know what fractions to decimals to percents are? We need it concrete. And my plan is real specific and focused. And until we get back to there and get away from these social ideas and the other things that should be taught at home, um, and just really get back to what our job is, and that's learning, um, that's how we're going to change it. That is the plan. And that's where my expertise and skill is. And Rashar, you had mentioned that you watch me. Well, I can go into, I think my skill set is to go into any group and really listen and see what the needs are, and help get us to a point where we can be successful. And I believe that's what we need in that position.
I believe that's what all parents are wanting, and I believe that's
Yeah.
what the students want. I think when we're looking at a state superintendent in that role, we want the whole package. And I know there are a lot of people. Um, it's not really a crowded space, but you do have competitors who I don't think have been as active as you've been. At least I haven't seen on social media. You sent me a screenshot last week about the views you got on your page, and that was
Yes.
that was a it was like 4 million views. I don't know what the time period was, but can you tell us? Can you take those views and convert them into votes? Will that? I mean, so
Absolutely.
how do you do that? So you don't have to say how you're going to do it, but are you confident that those 4 million votes and views and say like the 3 month time frame of whatever you're looking at, can they translate into votes in June?
Yeah. Actually, so the uninformed voter is going to go in and they're going to go, what name is the coolest on here? Or have I seen that
There you go.
name? And so I'm trying to reach those, but your primary voters are more, I think they're more skilled in going and researching a little bit more because they want to be there for the primary. And so this it's 4.6 million as of today, and this is in 3 weeks. And that's because we've accelerated it, and it may be somebody's seeing it 10 times, but you start dividing 4 point something million by 10 and you can see that the views are out there, and at least they see what I stand for, and they can see our ads because those are our digital ads along with my generics that I'm putting out there. Hey, I'm here at this restaurant, come and see me, those types of things. And um, but at least they know there is a plan. and they know where to go find my plan too. So that's in 3 weeks, Rashar. So what I'm hoping is by the time we get there, there will be over at least 10 million, because once it starts spreading, it just goes. And I'm having people all over the state get a hold of me and say, "Hey, we saw your ad," or they'll message something on there and they're excited about that. And I seen a lady in Broken Arrow at an event I was at, and she came up to me and said, "Are you Dr. Cox?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, I follow you." And it's humbling, because you know that you start to know people care. And we just got to get people. I just want them to go vote. You know, yes, I need to be in that position, but I want to see people care about our kids and about,
Well,
and
I think what I've seen so far, and I'm just watching. I watch all the candidates, but I've seen you are out there and you are the most active. Um, Everywhere there's an event, you're there, and your social media shows you everywhere else. And so, it's going to be, if this follows through and you are doing this consistently, which I think you are on a daily basis, I wouldn't be surprised if you ended off in the runoff with somebody else. So, Dr. Cox, I want to thank you. Feel free to come back on
oh, I love
anytime you
this.
have
Thank
any
you.
news to share. As always, we're trying to beat the Facebook algorithm. So, comment, share, and tag, and
I will.
we look forward on. So get a hold of myself or Cam, and you get some big news, call us and we'll bring you back on the show.
We're going to win this for our kids, and I love being here with Cam too. So, yeah, always have me on. I would always, and when I'm in there in that office, have me on here all the time and ask me the tough questions.
Yeah.
Yes, we will. In fact, we'll talk about that later, but yeah, we will. Bye. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
Dr. Cox.
Bye.
I'm telling you, everywhere that I am at, and I try to make all the events, he's there. And I think that really, we need someone who's connecting with potential legislators who are also running for office, and to build that relationship, because there's a lot that's going on. We talk about I've heard two governors talk about the Mississippi Miracle, which actually originated in Oklahoma, and pertaining
Hmm.
to education, and we needed to find a way to bring that back. And Dr. Cox consistently discusses that miracle of reading comprehension, the phonics. um, if we can't read, if they can't read, they lose all interest in learning. And I know that's only one aspect of it, but there are a lot of teachers out there that want to bring back mandatory phonics. I don't know how that would look, but I do know that Dr. Cox has the plan, and there are only two governor candidates that have discussed it um, quite frequently: Chip Keating and Charles McCall. I haven't heard any of the other candidates throw this much weight into it, because look, if we are 50th in the nation in education, how do you bring us up to 40th or 30th if our kids can't read? And reading is the foundation of everything, I believe.
Yeah,
I
and
know
he
you would
takes
agree to that.
initiative. Look at him. Yeah, look at him. He's taking initiative with everything. He's talking to everybody. When you go to a room, he is talking from the custodian to everybody else. I think he's the right guy, man.
Yeah, I think so, and
Whoa!
we'll just see. We'll just see, because anything can happen, and whoever gets the vote out, that's the key, is knocking doors. Now we switch our focus to Norman, Oklahoma, my hometown. We had an election almost about 3 weeks ago, and we have Trey Kirby, our new Ward 5 city councilman. He's on the show tonight. Trey, can you hear us?
Hello, how you doing?
Trey, Cam, you guys know each other, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's go back. You were on the show 2 weeks ago, but it was a spotty connection. Um, Tell me, or tell us, how have it's going to be about a month now next week. So, how has your first month in office been?
A lot of fun. I mean, a whole lot of orientations, getting to learn about how the city operates and seeing all the different uh, cogs, I guess you could say, and that keep us rolling.
That's true. So we had the advantage of going through the orientation because when you win the election, you had to wait like 3 months, which seemed like forever to take office. You didn't have that luxury because it was a runoff, and you had to replace the last Ward 5 council member because he had resigned, and so you were in a unique position. But what I've seen, what I've heard, it seems like you are a natural fit for that position. So, also 3 weeks ago, we had 5 ballot measures or propositions that we all voted on. There was a controversial one that everybody seemed to either hate or they loved it, and that was Proposition 5. It was the bond funding for the homeless shelter. Now, you don't have to state your position on that, but I do know you were keeping track of that. I just want to know what your thoughts were on the Proposition 5, and maybe discuss, you know, the people who are against it and trying to fight it in court versus the people who say, "Hey, we needed a solution in Norman, and sitting around kicking the can down the road is not a good solution." Thoughts?
I mean, here's my deal: whether you are for it or against it, every time we have an election, it seems like somebody goes in and tries to challenge the will of the people. And at some point in time, we have to accept the fact that sometimes what we want don't happen. But going in and filing a lawsuit to try to overturn it is not the correct move. Especially if you run on being a person who is a budget hawk or, is all about protecting our budget, and then you turn around and sue the city, costing us even more money on something that 54% of the community voted on. Um, that's we got to quit doing it, whether it's for the cannabis or like back in the day when y'all tried to overturn Bria Clark and several of the elected officials. It's kind of become a pattern where everybody just thinks, hey, when the election happens, if we don't like the outcome, whether we showed up and voted or not, we'll just go hire us a lawyer and overturn it. You look at the shelter, for example. I know a lot of people are against it and a lot of people were for it, but since statehood, we've had homeless. You look at every country in the world and we have homeless. You go to Amsterdam where they pay people monthly and they're still homeless. So, what we've been doing at all the facilities we currently have obviously didn't work. And somebody took a chance and came up with an idea and set it forward. And now they got it to pass. They found the land, they found a design, they got an idea of what we could do different that would be a better path forward. So right now, we bring people in, we feed them, we put them back out the next day. We've done that for 130 years. This new place is going to have a doctor in there. It's going to have deadlines. Like, if you get there for the first 14 days, they'll try to get you back to your family or friends or somewhere that people can help you. You have a support system and encouragement. If that don't work, day 15, they're going to figure out if your education, and they're going to figure out your mental state. They're going to figure out what they can do to get you back on your feet, clothing, a job. They're going to give you a home and food and counseling and mental aid that you might not have. Some people didn't have caring parents to teach them how to adult. They get paychecks and don't know how to budget it properly to keep their house. I mean, it's simple stuff that somebody from a church or any type of organization can show up and help teach people, and have books, teach them how to read. I mean, there's so much this new facility can do that no other facility offers. So you can come into it, hey, let's sue everybody and try to stop it. Or you can look at it as these people came out, they've seen what a problem was, and they're doing what they think deep in their heart is the best way they can do to fix a problem. And if
Mm-hmm.
we don't try it, then how do we know if it works? Are we just going to keep kicking the people who are less fortunate, or are we going to give this idea a chance? And then in 5 years it don't work, maybe it gives us another idea, but at least we tried something different that the three current facilities aren't funded to do.
I
Councilman,
agree.
you and your wife own Kirby land and cattle. You bring a very practical agriculture and small business perspective to the city council. For Ward 5 is unique because it covers the largest rural landmass in Norman. What are some specific challenges facing the rural constituents right now?
Land grabs and water supply. That new AIM 2045 plan, I've been in meetings with our planning and several other people ever since I've been elected. We're trying to get it
Mm-hmm.
adjusted and make changes that will protect our watershed and our agriculture out here. But the biggest problem is like all the new development, they have underestimated the retainer ponds and stuff. So we have properties, we have 5 to 10 acres fenced off. We can't let our animals to because it floods out and lays over 100 foot of fence, and then you spend the next
Mm-hmm.
week chasing your herd through 5 miles worth of pasture. Also, the pollutions in the water. I mean, I can't say it's a threat yet, but I've watched it in 5 other states. So with what's coming from other neighborhoods, I won't let my livestock drink that water because I don't want it to contaminate the meat.
Right. So we got some viewer questions here. Trey's in fire, or he's on fire. Keep it going, brother, from John Greening. And of course, our longtime friend, Moto, otherwise known as Adam Morrison, who's always showing up on the show. Trey, last night I watched the study session, and one of the issues was the TIF discussion. And I think one of the things that people remember on your first council meeting when it came to the friendly lawsuit, and no lawsuits are ever friendly, you made a profound statement that a lot of people agreed with you that we are not in the business as council members to sue our citizens. Now, what I think Scott Dixon asked Robert Norman last night, why doesn't the ORED folks sue the city instead? And I had to switch off. So kind of pick this up. Tell us how we got to that position there, and what was the response? What was the final answer? Why doesn't ORED just sue the city of Norman? And why do they think that the city of Norman should sue the citizens instead?
Well, because they spoke. When 11,000 people signed that petition and it went to court, they feel like their voice still has not been heard. And my first night, I failed to second a motion because I felt once again we shouldn't sue the citizens. And everybody kept saying how it was going to be peaceful, which last night, I don't know if you were watching, uh, Mr. Knightington admitted that it's not going to be peaceful. I mean, there's nothing about it going to be peaceful. So luckily, I feel I made the right choice. The part I don't like about it is people didn't get to have a voice, and 11,000 people signed that petition, and a lot of people showed up. They waited an hour and a half, and they wanted to express their concerns about this TIF. And I don't know if you was watching, but Scott did ask about it. And I mean, it comes down to it costs a lot of money and time. So they run off of donations. They're a 501. They're an organization who represents our community. So they're going to have to go back to the same people who ran that petition and got 11,000 signatures and donated their time and donated their money and ask them again to donate their time and donate their money to get this lawsuit funded and into court. And then it kind of goes the other way. You know, you have a private organization suing the city council, and they don't want to look disrespectful to the council. All they want to do is be heard. And that was kind of my point last night. When you have 11,000 people sign a petition and a judge ignores it and says, hey, we don't like the gist, it wasn't done right, and kicks it back, and your whole life you hear, if you don't like what your elected officials are doing, go to the ballot, vote them out. This last election, they had more people show up than I don't know when in a small election like that. And they made their voices heard. They voted out every single person who voted yes on that TIF, except for Scott Dixon, because he went unchallenged. So the people of his ward supported his choice and how he governed. So that says a lot, that he went unchallenged. So Ward 8 really supports him. But every other ward got took out of that seat. The people spoke, and then we're not hearing them still. I mean, so we're going
So
over
what
all
was
the
the
legal.
final? What was the final decision though? So I had to switch off. So
I
what are you
think that
guys
was it
planning to
right
do?
there. I think Scott Dixon said it. It went 8-1 with no second. So they lost in the Supreme Court, and they lost in the challenge to get it on the get the council to overhear it when the council 8-1, no second with David Gansberry is kind of how it left last night.
Okay. One of the other items that we discussed last week that you were going to bring up in the study session was the cluster or the high density development in East Norman, my home. So that I didn't hear that conversation last night. Was that put off for a different time, or did you guys actually discuss what you wanted to discuss for Ward 5?
We didn't discuss that last night. It had nothing to do with that. They are fixing the wording in the AIM project. They're going to take out everywhere where it says 30 acres and put it back to 10 acres. They're leaving the word cluster development out of it. It's going pretty much how it was in the 2025 plan, which has worked good for the last 20 years for Ward 5 as far as we can get. We're still working on, because I brought up the fact that in 1961, around October, the city of Norman annexed Ward 5 and made it into part of Norman. The residents of Ward 5 sued and said, we do not want to be annexed. We wanted to stay free of that. The Supreme Court, somewhere around 1964, ruled that Norman was able to do that because they had to protect their watershed, the recharge area that kept the Garber Wellington, and Lake Thunderbird supplying the city of Norman. So we became annexed into it. Well, seems like city of Norman forgot about that. We got new managers, we got new people. So I had to remind them that with this AIM project, they brought low urban development out into Ward 5, a mile past what it's ever supposed to be. When it was originally wrote in 1961, it was never supposed to reach east of 36. Now they've made it a half mile past 48. That's a mile and a half too far into the recharge area that feeds our Garber Wellington. So we're discussing that, trying to get it pushed back, as well as the other wording. Hopefully, the second meeting of July, we can address all the issues that I've been working with. That continues on what Michael Nash and Brandon Nofire were working on when they both left. I'm just trying to get it finished out, but with no gray lining of our wording or no red lining in new wording, because at the end of the day, Ward 5 needs to be treated special because it is the water supply for all of Norman, and you can't make no more water. And if we take up any more green space, then you lose our recharge space.
Right. It's always been a fight when I was on council too as well. And so I'm glad you guys are continuing to do that fight, because water, as I've always said, is life. And when you have high density development over I want to say, because the Gerber Wellington, it is, the aquifer is wide. It goes for miles in every direction. But in Norman, Oklahoma, on the east side, in Ward 5, we have the most, it's not covered. And so when you have developments that have concrete and asphalt, that the recharge rate, the last time I looked at it was 2-3 years ago, on a perfect year was like 1.47 inches, which equates to millions of gallons of water. So when you bring in cluster development, when you bring in high density development with concrete and asphalt, more roads, more infrastructure, gas stations, you limit the number and the amount of water that can percolate back into the aquifer over time. So we need people out there that are serious about protecting the environment. It's not that, we just don't wake up one day and say, oh, I want to protect what I got. I want to see my deer across the street and the turkeys on Rose Rock Drive that come through the forest, Kirby. They walk on our street. We are actually wanting to protect the one resource that Ward 5 has, and that's the aquifer, the percolation back into the aquifer over time. And so that's a fight that all four of us are fought, and you will continue to fight. Now, you got retreat in July. Okay, so hopefully this will get on the agenda to discuss and vote. You think it'll be on the June before retreat, or do you think it will go to retreat and then maybe see it on an August agenda?
I'm hoping to have it on by the end of July. The other fight I'm fighting right now is a lot of people ain't paying attention, but we need firemen. We need a fireman budget to increase. That's another reason I have a problem with these TIFs. And I know we're about to change the PSST 2 and do a third one. But if you look, we're short. Ward 5 is the most short for fire departments. We are 4 fire departments short. We're 78 firemen short in Norman, like fire station number one, the one that helps Ward 5. We're drivers that are short. If they send a hazmat tanker out to put out a car fire or anything like that, and say a second story or third story, fourth story catches on fire and they need the ladder truck, we don't have a driver. Right now, when medical calls are going out, it's going out in pumper in little brush trucks, because we have to keep the one driver we have back at the fire station in case another call comes so we can run back. So like last year when we had that big fire and a fire happened in Norman, they had to pull one of our tankers out from the country and we lost 6 houses. If we had our firemen and our drivers and our captains and our lieutenant, we need our firemen, and that's where I can't stress it enough. It's not something we need to wait 5 years on. Not only are we short water, we're short firemen, and that just really, it should almost be criminal when you don't have the firemen, because you're putting your firemen at risk every time they go out, not having a fellow brother there to drag them out if danger happens, and you're also putting our citizens at risk. And we're elected officials, and as elected officials, it's our job to make sure, as stewards of the community, that all of our members of this community are safe. And by being short 2 drivers and 12 firemen right now as we sit, that is not doing our job stewarding our community. So that's going to be one of my biggest things on the retreat. I mean, I know we need 4 more fire departments and 78 more firemen, but to keep our rating, our firemen have to be able to do their job and not be overly stressed at it. So I'm really trying to push right now that no matter what we got to do, we need to find it in our budget to make sure we can get them 12 firemen and get them drivers in their positions and make sure our firemen are being treated like the great citizens they are. I mean, that's our front line, and we don't want to end up like California with half of Norman on fire and we don't have firemen to fight it.
Absolutely.
Hey
Cam?
Trey, let me ask you, if you know right now you have a short of firemen, are you working with other counties to see if they could help? How are you mitigating that approach? Because I don't know
We
much about local elections or local offices.
I haven't even had the opportunity because our firemen are that great. Our rating is so low. If our rating got changed and everybody's property insurance went up, their homeowners insurance, people would realize just how great our fire department it is, and by not having all the firemen, what risk we're running of even losing that discount. But as far as our chief has got it to where he went to the communities around us, and if the fire for a structure happens, they will come from 3 miles or something like that, any direction from no matter what town, and we return the same favor. So if Moore has a structure fire, we send the closest firemen and trucks to Moore, and they do the same to us. Same with Noble and the other communities around us. So not only are we just Norman strong with our fire department, we have went to our fellow communities and made sure that we're all strong, because if fire happens in Moore and is blowing south, it'll hit us. So, and same if it happens here and blows north, it'll hit them. So we bring trucks from both directions in all the communities to make sure structure fires are always addressed with full power.
Good deal. So we've always had those memorandum of understanding with the neighboring fire departments for mutual aid. But Trey Kirby, I think you're the right man for the job, and I am proud to call you a friend. And we'll have you on anytime you want to come on. Just give us a call. We'll be more than happy to have you on, and keep going, man. You got a lot of people out there. You got fans, and you got people who are skeptical. And I hope if they watch enough city council, the skepticism from those folks that did not vote for you will be overcome. And, naturally, you'll be the one reelected at the end of this year. So anytime you want to come back on, bro, just give us a call and we'll have you on. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Good seeing y'all again.
Good night.
Wow.
There's a lot, so when we look at people running for office, it takes a lot, and people don't understand, if you've never ran for office, you put your life out there, your family's life, nothing, everything's out there. And
Mhm.
what I don't like about running for office is that most people tend to look at the negative aspect of whatever happened in your life, and not the positive one. So, we go like he ran a clean campaign. This runoff election was pretty much, it was clean, 100% clean. I can't say the same for his opponent, but I want to live by what I say too as well. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. But I can say and vouch for Trey Kirby that he is the real deal for Ward 5, and he'll be an asset to the city of Norman going forward. And should he decide to do anything else in the future, say county commissioner, he'll be qualified for that position if he ever wants to pursue that route. I can see him as county commissioner. But good discussion today, Cam. Supreme Court, we keep an eye on that. Again, local elections matter more than ever, and they probably are just as important as the national ones. So I say for everyone watching this, know who your city council member is. Know who's running for state superintendent. Know these people and ask the questions, because if you don't and you don't vote, then it's on you. How else can we say it? If you don't vote, you don't get a chance to bitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Key dates for this coming up election: voter registration deadline May 22nd, absentee ballot request deadline June 1st, early voting June 11th through the 13th, and election days June 16th for this primary, guys. So make sure you guys are ready for it.
And it's going to come through. You're going to see a lot of mailings come through. We have a huge race for the governors. We have there's a poll that came out on the lieutenant governors, but I haven't seen the numbers yet. We have the attorney general, which I think is going to be a slam for one candidate, John Echols, who I think is going to take that away and not even have a runoff. I think John is out there. I mean, he's out there. Let's just say this, that every candidate that we are keeping track of, from governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, state superintendent, the ones that we are watching are the ones who are out there. Even Lisa Jan Lou, who's running for labor commissioner, I mean, that girl is out there. I mean, I think she hit most of the counties. Okay, and she's just running this, and what's nice about Lisa Janlou is that her dad was in office. I believe he ran for office, or I'm not sure if he actually won, but he's here from Maryland helping her on her campaign at events, putting signs up, and that's a real family business. And so there are a lot of folks out there that need to get the special extra recognition. I believe it takes a lot of money to run, and unless you have tons of money, and having lots of money to a campaign camp does not mean you'll win. It comes down to who can get the vote out. Who can get the vote out? That starts by knocking on the doors. Nobody has ever won an election without knocking on doors. I'm going to put you to the test. You should run for office.
I'll run away. Oh no, bro. I was gonna say I'll let the experts do it, and I'll judge them from the sidelines. I'm good.
I don't know. I mean, so if you run for, I don't know. I mean, I think you have a pretty good career at Tinker Air Force Base, and so it's going to take a lot of money to take you out. But it's a lot of work. It's like a full-time job campaigning, and we've discussed this before. I want to elect a person who, as he's running or she is running, and they say one thing, they get elected, I want them to continue to say that too and act that way in office. And a lot of times, the illusion or the disillusion we have on candidates, it's like they come in and knock on our door and they stand for something to get our vote, but they change totally, completely in office. And that infuriates voters because they don't know who to trust. And, fortunately for us, a lot of Republicans, it's a super majority. And so, there are a lot of Republicans that go out there and they do what they're supposed to do. But it's only because we have more Republicans running and winning offices than we do Democrats or independents. But I do know a couple of good Democrats who do what their community needs, regardless of your political affiliation. I don't know if you have, I mean, where you live at, do you have a relationship with your house rep?
Yes, yes. We talk constantly. And there's times that I don't agree with some of the things that he votes for or against. And we have a conversation. The great thing is that he's open to have a conversation. And he tells me sometimes, hey, man, I get yelled at, and that's why I got elected to listen in and see how I could work not just with his constituents, but at the Capitol, because he needs to work to build Oklahoma better. And again, right now he's running a campaign against an opponent. And like I told him, I'm like, hey, you got to make sense on what you're voting for because your opponent is making sense too. So you got to earn that vote. Just because you're an incumbent doesn't mean you get an automatic vote. You need to go out there and knock doors also.
Absolutely. And Steve Morris, you asked a question. Is it a funding issue? You said finding issue. If you can go ahead and reply back to us and let us know which question are you answering? Funding issue for what? So Cam, we're nearing the 50-minute mark here, and um, any last words you want to say?
Hey, to start spreading the word, talk to your brother, sister, family members, neighbors, go out and vote. Because if you stand for Oklahoma values, keep Oklahoma, Oklahoma. Because there are plenty of people pouring in from California, New York, all those blue states that are failing, and we need those votes to become red. We don't need any more Democrats. We don't need a failing state. We don't need 832 also. So, come on, guys, let's vote out there.
Um, what is going on with Mr. Producer? What is going on with the question? So Steve Morris, again, if you're out there still, um, I don't know what you're trying to say. I think you're asking, is this a funding issue? But I'm not sure which question it is.
Funding,
And since you
probably.
brought up, what's that?
Probably funding.
Yeah, to which funding for what though?
Oh, probably fire
Okay,
department. Yeah, there we go,
okay,
firefighters. Yeah.
so let's put this back and okay. Anyway, so in Norman, okay, we have Trey had mentioned it's a public safety sales tax. Okay, we are on number 2, and we have the new emergency operations center in Norman that when I was on council, we they had a shortfall of $9.5 million. We got that shortfall taken care of. Now the operations center is built and it's working. It's operational. It's beautiful. And in Ward 5, we have designated. There's an old crappy fire department that's in a recreation room. I've been there. It's horrible. All right, it's hot, and it is not. It is not what we need for Ward 5. And so the intent was to always, as soon as the emergency operations center was built, was to take the remaining funds and put it in the new Ward 5 fire station, which will be located and relocated. It's currently on Highway 9, and it will come down further west. Okay. And that's where the new fire station is. It should have been built by now. And what I think has happened is that maybe the funds just aren't there to complete the project. Okay. So we'll ask
Mm.
Trey Kirby next time um, what it is, and he had mentioned that they might be looking at a public safety sales tax number 3, and that's probably what's going to be needed. And so when they have funding projects, when they go out there and they have bonds for certain things, they try to get the most. And look, I can tell you right now, the staff in Norman, just like the staff around the state, but I'm going to say for Norman, a very highly educated, technical people who have done great things for the city. And we're elected officials, we come and go, but they are what we call in the military permanent party. And look, Cam, look, they do their work, they do their job. I couldn't
Hmm.
ask for a better staff because we have, I want to say, I'm biased that we have the best staff in the state. But Oklahoma City, I'm sure they have great staff, and everywhere else. I'm just partial. I just know from my working with them is that
Sure.
if they're the best so far. I want to say that we have the best police department in the state of Oklahoma. We have the best staff in the state of Oklahoma, and I truly enjoyed my time working with them. So we are
Awesome.
ending and nearing the 60-minute mark here. So I will give you the last word, bro.
Hey, again, man, thank you for everything you do, and thank you to our listeners. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. So I appreciate everybody.
That is true. We do this and take time out of our day. And, we appreciate the listeners. We appreciate the questions here. And if you like what you see tonight, comment, tag, and share. That's the only way to beat the Facebook algorithms. And I want to thank Cam. Cam, you are integral to this show, and it's going to grow. We have plans. We discussed that today. It is going to grow, and we have good news. And I just can't wait to share the next time we talk about how fast we're growing. We're going to have commercials. People want to put commercials on the show. And we'll have real people to manage the background, manage the back end, to do all the transitions for us. So it's going to be fantastic what's going to happen in the summertime here. And we couldn't do it and we wouldn't do it if it wasn't, this one's for you.
Oh,
Yeah, this one's for you. Who is
look at
who
her.
is Melinda Ula 5331 to you? Who is
That's my
that?
sweetheart. She's my number one fan, and hey, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to do any of the fun stuff. So, she's a
That's
cutie.
true.
I'm so happy that she gets to listen to me.
She is, and we appreciate it. Melinda, I know you're listening. I want to thank you for allowing, I'm going to say allow, your husband Cam to take about an hour and a half a week. And you notice that we don't task him to do like 4 or 5 days a week, but to take about an hour and a half away from his duties as a husband and a father. I want to say I appreciate you, Cam, bro. We'll see you next week.
All right, I'll see you guys.
Bye.